Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your podcast host for today's episode. Today on the show, I have Dhirendra Ghidode, founder and owner of SpeedNet Inc. We're going to be talking about his business, learning about his journey to business ownership, some best practices he's learned along the way, as well as maybe some challenges that he's faced to give you that insider's look to what it's like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notified when we drop episodes like this. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, let's dive in. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dhirendra. Uh, I live over here in Austin, Texas. I've been here since 2011, and I've been in the same industry on and off, not on and off, but consistent since 2012. So it's been 13 years into the making.
Oh, well, I'm super excited to dive in and learn about your business as well. So how did you start SpeedNet and what is SpeedNet?
Speedness, it's a internet service provider that provides internet in the rural areas of Texas. We cover anywhere from South Texas, Central Texas, East Texas, West Texas, all the way up until Louisiana. We have been running this as a full-fledged internet service provider since 2017. And yeah, that's kind of what we have been doing, providing internet service in the rural community where there is no other option available. In the back in the days, there used to be a couple of satellite internet providers and some DSL back when we started. So we have gained some tremendous momentum, especially during COVID, when there was a lot of demand for the internet and there weren't very many providers available. So that was the time when we grew the most, and that was the phase when we developed as a full service provider the most. Before that, we were working as subcontractors for major players in town, and we just transitioned into being a full service provider of our own. So that has been my journey. I've been running pretty much for last 10, 12 years doing the exact same thing.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. And how did you get into y- internet, like internet services and things like that? What's kind of the why behind the business?
Well, one thing leads to another. It's kind of what has happened to me. I was working in sales for one of the major cable company in town. Then that transitioned into me becoming a reseller for one of them, and then we used to only make sales and do installation for them. That was not a full service, but that gave me an edge into how the background of the operations were being handled. And couple doing that between 2014 to 2017. I kept doing that, and we pretty much learned all the tricks of the business on how to how to handle problems in general and the heavy lifting stuff. And the opportunity came along to become your own self-service provider, and we grabbed it because honestly we were looking for something like that for a long time, but we didn't have a hands-on to it. And as soon as we got it, we grabbed onto it and we just latched onto it. Since then we've been just blowing things up.
Oh, definitely. And where did you start? Was it like the Central Texas area? Where did you kind of start doing services?
So, as a full service provider, we started servicing Central Texas, Wimberley, San Marcos, Carl Buda, Burnett, Marble Falls, yeah, all the way to Hempstead or closer to Houston. These were the areas that were basically where we were already going there, but we were working for somebody else, and we found the opportunity to start marketing our own product, and we found the perfect customer base that we were looking for, and we just kept adding more and more and more customers.
Definitely. And you mentioned you work with the rural community. So if I were, say, an ideal client for you, how would I know that I would be a good fit for you?
Well, usually we don't service anybody who in a metropolitan area like Austin or Houston or San Antonio, but anything outside of the city limits where you don't have access to DSL or fiber, and your only option is probably satellite, that is an ideal location where we can service. And before we were limited on where we could service, but in the past few years we have developed a relationship with them with major data providers, and we pull the data from them to where we are able to service anybody outside of that territory where the fiber is not available. We're able to service them.
Okay. And with that, how are you getting yourselves out there, becoming known? Are you doing different marketing strategies? Is it door to door? How do you market your company?
Well, now most of it is social media, most of it is email marketing, most of it is through referral, and there are other platforms that we partner with. Those are kind of like the marketplace for customers to go look at for rural services. So we have a relationship with them. We have a decent amount of monthly minimum commit with them that just generally keeps the leads flowing, and we just have an amazing team that works on them day and night and keep adding the numbers.
Oh, definitely. Well, you said the magic word team. I'd love to learn about your team. How many team members do you have? And yeah, what's your team look like?
So we have pretty much a couple of people in every department, from billing team to technicians to sales team. It's a relatively smaller team, but we are able to handle big amount of volume because now we're also incorporating AI and automation into place. So we have about 10 people working for us full time that are directly working with us day and night, and those are part of our team.
Oh, great. That small and mighty is always a good way to go, I feel like, with the team. And how would you describe your leadership style as the founder and the owner of the company? How are you leading your team to success?
So now that these are the real questions, I guess. Um, Leading the team to success, it's a little bit of both. You have to be, you have to set a good example. We are at a point where we make sure we have daily meetings, and we take the time to dive into our previous days of work and our highs and our lows, what we did wrong. I take notes throughout the day on my phone or my notebook, and I wait until the very next day until we get the opportunity when the entire team is on board, and that's the time I try to hunt down on pretty much all the needy, greedy little things makes that makes a difference for our customer. And I guess you can call it a mix, right? I also motivate my team, but I'm also a little bit of control freak where I want to make sure that I'm not letting anything go out of control. So I like to get involved with my team directly to make sure whatever is going on with them, I have a direct knowledge of their work. But I do not also like to micromanage and manage anybody.
Hmm. There's like that balance that between the two, it feels like.
Yeah,
Looking at with your mhm. Looking at your team currently, do you see any emerging leaders on your team?
actually, I'm only in direct contact with the leaders in our team that are directly working with me on day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Okay. And looking at, I always like to ask business owners the question, what is something in your business that you're challenged with right now that you're working to resolve, and how do you find resolution in challenges?
So, I mean, I think this is the situation with every business out there, and we don't know how much the economy plays a factor in it. but we are always striving for more business, more customers. And the only way to counter that is to constantly pivot and change your tactics that you're using to acquire customer, retain customers, understand your customers. Um, it's a constant battle. In other words, but we just keep on trying to learn more about the needs of our customer and keep pivoting as the time goes by.
Oh, definitely. Now, do you have like a um an example of what you mean by that? Like something that's happened most recently?
So I'll give you, okay, let's see. I want to give you a good one so you can use the, you can really relate with it. You see how our economy has been on a roller coaster ride for the last 2.5 years. And see, our kind of business directly depends on how people are moving to new locations, whether they are looking for service. Also depends on the economy. People are spending more money on gas, more money on grocery, more money on utility, more money on pretty much everything else. And they we have seen a shift uh, from 2020 to now where a customer is constantly looking for either they want a cheaper option, now they want a better option. Reliability of the internet service is kind of the key product that we sell. We don't have the cheapest product in town because we have several factors involved in it. But we have tried to pivot with it. Uh, like big corporations would always try to take the small guy on Main Street out by playing with the price of their product or services. And I read in a book a long time ago where a pendulum always swings equal on the opposite side. So one of the learnings that I have is even though sometimes the tide is not in your favor, the most important thing for me to do right now is to hold on to it while we have a big storm going on. And that's the most important thing. Outlast your competition. The competition is out there to take you down, to knock you down, and just outlasting, just standing there and servicing your customer even in the worst situation is kind of what differentiates my company and me from other companies. I've seen a lot of companies similar to ours come and go very fast, and they don't no longer exist, but we're still thriving. And the part of the reason is, I keep my learning part constantly growing, and keep myself engaged in it, and it kind of helps. It helps a lot.
Oh, definitely. I think that it's like adaptability and the ability to pivot when needed is huge for success. I think that's a real golden nugget that you hit on just there for business owners to hear about for sure.
Correct. Yeah. Just hold on to it as long as you can, because the the wind direction will change one day. But if you are there, you can take advantage of it. But if you're not there, then you're not there.
Definitely. Looking at what you're doing now and how you're growing now, where do you see your company going in the next 3 to 5 years?
So in the next 3 or 5 years, ideally, we would like to either multiply our business, or possibly me as an individual would like to step outside and let the leadership of my team handle the business, and let somebody else be the leader in the business.
That's a really big step too. How do you feel like you will be able to best accomplish those goals? Like if you do choose to um uh, allow those emerging leaders to take over in some areas.
Well, first, I'm nurturing my leaders on a daily basis. I would like them to make the decisions. And one of the question I ask them most of the time is, if you have a question for me, come to me when you have an answer to the question. What would I say before you ask me a question? Because we have our principles laid out. Okay, what we stand for, what we don't stand for, what we tolerate, what we don't tolerate. You
Mhm.
stick you stick those principles and you apply that. you can run it by me, but ultimately I'm giving them a free hand to make a decision now. So when I am not there to take the decision, and I have been in that situation before where my team actually ran the business without me, and even on a daily day-to-day basis today, I am not involved in the business in every single aspect of decision making of the business. So the team really has the understanding of what would I say, what would I think about the question they are having, and that gives them a good idea of what action to take. So less hand holding, but when we do sit down and talk about it, once a day when we do have a meeting, this is the time we dive into those things, and I ask them questions like, hey, what was the process? How did you process that information? And how would you, what was it done right? Was it not done right? And most of the time they get it right, and sometimes there could be a little changes, little tweaks that I can make to it, and that can help them out big time.
Oh, definitely. That sounds like a really incredible plan and a really great way to navigate moving for, especially when the business is shifting and growing. This has been such a great conversation so far, and I'd love to go into a fun part of the Q&A called our rapid fire questions, wherein I ask you four questions and you answer very top of mind. So are you ready for some rapid fire?
I'm ready for it.
All right. Question number one is, what is a key to success for you?
The key to success for me is constant learning.
Hmm,
Keep engaged in learning all the time. um I mean, we can all get engaged in listening to music for hours and hours or scrolling through social media, but none of that thing helps. And what helps is just hunking down to the books or podcast, or listen to people like you interviewing other people, and get the golden nuggets, because they're out there and they make all the difference in the world.
definitely. And the second question is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
um I'll go down to the same, we went over this in the interview, is to hold on to it for as long as you can, and focus on one thing and just stick to it. Do not deviate, because when your ideal customer is ready, is looking for you, he should have you in mind, because you have shown up again and again with the same offering, and your ideal customer will find you only if you are sticking to the same business or same product that you have to offer. You want to be known for your product.
That's great. That's great advice. And number three is, what is a piece of content you've recently taken in? It could be a book, a podcast, or anything that you found value.
Okay, I think this would help your company, but I just read this one over the weekend. Do you know Patrick but David?
Sounds very familiar.
Okay, I saw one of his clip the other day, and he said, "You will eventually learn all the mistakes you are doing now, and fix them over the course of 3, 4, 5, or 10 years. But if you consult somebody who has been in the shoes before and has shown results or has gotten success out of that, consulting somebody like that will save you a lot of failures, waste of time, and it's of tremendous value. It cannot be measured with dollars."
Mm, that's very true. I'll have to check that out. And the final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
That's a good one. What would I change with one aspect of my business? I guess I would just hope for having less competition, so I can come up in front of the customer more often, and they will have less choices to pick from, which obviously is not the situation that can happen going forward, but that's something we're always looking for, less competition, so we can service more customers.
Definitely. Well, thank you for answering the rapid fire questions. Before we get to our final question today, let's help you start doing that right now and build connections with you. How can people get connected with your business online?
We are all over the internet. We are on Instagram. People can search for speed netting. You can find us on Google. We have excellent ratings, 4.9, 4.8. They'll find us on Facebook, Instagram. They'll find us on LinkedIn. Um, just Google it, SpeedNet Inc., and they'll find us.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And for our final question today, what is most inspiring to you today?
The most inspiring thing for me today is to set a good example for my kids. I come from a background from where my dad was I'm an immigrant. I'm a student. I came as a student and I settled down over here from I came here 2007. My dad was a government servant. So besides basic fundamental things that a parent can teach their kids, um, all the learnings that I have gotten is out of looking at somebody else other than somebody in my family. So, what I wanted to be is to set the bar high for my kids to make sure when they are out there on their own struggling with life, they want to be able to see a pretty high standard set by the parents for them to not take anything for granted or to set their bar high just as high. So that's very important to me.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. That was a great inspiration for the conversation. This has been so much fun to share about you and share about your business today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.